throw it at you?
Yeah, let's try it.
You ready?
Look out for the stand. No! You did it though!
That'll help the algorithm, huh?
Welcome everybody to Unsheathed Sword Reviews. I'm John.
I'm Vic.
And today we are going to review my birthday presents. The Landsknecht Emporium Günther Messer.
Oh, nice. Well played. I forgot you got that. So as John said, this is the Landsknecht Emporium M3D Messer, and this was a birthday gift to John from myself and Scott. Mm-hmm. If you don't know, John has some German heritage, and he has been itching for a really good messer for quite a while. And both of us have actually wanted to try Landsknecht Emporium for a long time. By the way, I realize I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that. Sorry, my bad.
I think Landsknecht.
Isn't that Landsknecht?
Is it
close enough? Okay,
yeah,
close enough not to be embarrassed by it. So both of us have really wanted to try something from them for a long time, right?
Yes. I think the line that sold me on it was when we did that video with Matt, and he said that he would want to have a beer with the Landsknecht Emporium Messer that we were discussing. I think that was the Günther, too.
Yeah, I think he was talking about the Günther, because he got a whole bunch of them to review. And the other thing that he said that I kind of made note of is that he said that all of them, every model that he tried, felt like it was a weapon of war. Felt like it could be taken into battle, and actually he would have like complete confidence in how they would hold up and all that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely really excited. So trying to take the excitement of it being a birthday sword, as sometimes it's hard to do, out of the equation. In terms of like aesthetics and fit and finish, what do you think of this?
I think it's gorgeous looking. I think it looks exactly like I would want a messer to look. I like the nice clean lines of it. I love the chamfering on the guard. The nagel's really well executed and put together. Everything's tight. The peen of the nagel looks really, really good and really well done. The blade is very just typical of what you would expect of this type of messer. So altogether, I love the way this sword comes together. I really don't have any complaints about fit and finish whatsoever.
Yeah, so the one thing that I was kind of not hesitant, but reluctant to drop money on a Landsknecht Emporium piece without seeing one in person was they do have a reputation for being very purposefully, I don't want to say rough in terms of like the fit and finish, but they go for a very specific aesthetic in terms of really trying to recreate what like an actual medieval sword would look like. I believe they use the term rustic fit and finish on their website.
Yeah.
And that's very much intentional. And I think, as you know, I have the reputation for being more nitpicky, being the prissy one, so to speak, when it comes to fit and finish. I want to make a distinction here. There is a difference in terms of like how I perceive fit and finish if you are going for a specific look versus being lazy, not putting the effort in, or like, you know, not polishing up and doing things when you could. Because this is the aesthetic that they're going for. Like the entire thing has a handmade feel to it.
Yes.
Like every square inch is covered in like asymmetries and things that, you know, you could debatably call ugly here and there in terms of like how the blade fits in the shoulders and here and there, just little spots like that. But because this is what they're going for, and to my surprise, it doesn't bother me at all the way I thought it would. Like looking at pictures and looking at reviews, I thought it would be a huge point of contention for me.
Yeah.
It's not so much, and a huge part of that is handling, which we'll get to later. But John's right. Like the overall shape of everything looks fantastic. There's dimension in the quillions. There's dimension and the grip. The blade has like a nice fuller looking thing going down it, right? So like there's a lot going on with the sword, and just if you were hesitant about the aesthetic because of what I talked about, I think it nothing about it bothers me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely agree with you that there's a big difference between going for a rustic aesthetic and just poorly executing a refined aesthetic.
Yes,
right.
agreed.
Those are worlds apart, and I think that this definitely goes for the rustic aesthetic. And so I should have been more clear about that. For what they're going for, I think the fit and finish is perfect, and I love it. And also, I am the person who enjoys this level of fit and finish.
Right.
This is what I want my swords to look like. So to me, like Landsknecht Emporium and I are like hand in glove.
Which is
like perfect.
Which, not for nothing, that did go into the decision to get you this for your birthday, because it's like, well, that is John's aesthetic, right?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah. So I agree, dude. It is a good looking sword. It is a great looking messer.
It's a knife.
Okay, it's a knife. My bad. It's a knife.
Exactly. So what about handling, Vic? You know, with that said, what do you think about the handling on this piece?
So that is the thing about this sword that really puts it over the top for me personally. First of all, it rings like a freaking Atrium or a Sterling Armory sword if you've had the pleasure. Just like every swing
Ching!
just sings, and which is really, really fun and just inspires confidence. But yeah, Matt Jensen was definitely correct in his review that like this feels like built to fight somebody.
Agreed.
It feels built to take shots.
Yep.
Like we didn't actually hit the stand at all on our cutting, which is a rarity for us. We'll see what Scott does here in a little bit.
Yep.
But I have zero doubts that this would take zero damage. Like I have utmost confidence
Agreed.
in the heat treats, and the steel is 6150, which is fantastic. A steel choice for like durability and
Yep.
keeping an edge and all that. The handling is phenomenal. It feels light. It feels movable. It feels very like purpose for like cutting, if that makes sense. Like I don't want to use the term authoritative because like it is really agile.
It is, yeah.
You know
Port of
what I mean?
balance is at 4.3 inches just about.
Yeah,
So
like
it's got authority, but it is still fairly nimble.
yeah, so like that's why I wouldn't use that term, but like it really feels like just because of the blade geometry and how fast you can get it going that like this would hack limbs off.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's what I think. I think
Yeah.
it's the blade geometry and the thickness of the blade, the width of the blade.
Also, cool note, sharpened false edge, which is
Yep.
really cool. I did pull off a false edge cut, like just my first try, which is really, really neat.
Yep.
So the only like kind of nitpick in terms of handling is the thing we both agreed on. If you
Yeah.
want to touch on that, the grip kind of narrows up at the top, right?
Yeah, so if you look at the grip, and we'll have some close-up images for you, you can see that it tapers down from being fairly thick and robust at the end to kind of narrower up at the top near the shoulders. And I don't really know why it does that, and I wish it didn't. That's my only complaint about this sword, is that it feels like, because that's where I want to hold the sword, especially when I'm holding it with one hand, it feels like I don't have nearly as much purchase on the handle as I would if it was as thick as it is at the bottom. Now it's still oval shape, not oval shape, but it's like faceted. It's got, like I guess 3 facets per side, so 6 facets total. And so it's still indexable. I can still tell which way the blade is shaping. It just feels like I don't have quite as much control over it because it's just a little bit thinner than I would like it to be.
Agreed with every point.
But to sort of piggyback off what Victor said, though, I think that the way that this blade handles has a lot to do with the distal taper and how thick it is at the bottom, because it tapers down from 4.7, I believe, at the bottom to 2.1 up near the false edge. And so that definitely just gives it a good solid feel that I agree with you. If you hit the stand, I think it would hold up really well.
Yeah, and so like with how thin the blade is combined with the width, we measured 51.2 millimeters at the base, and it stays pretty wide the entire blade length. Like there's a little bit of taper, but it's pretty parallel.
Yeah,
so,
up until you get to the false edge, and then it just goes to the clip point. But yeah.
So, wide, thin equals usually good cutter, especially when it's sharp AF, as this thing is. This is
very sharp.
Crazy sharp.
Yep.
The false edge is not quite as sharp as the main edge, but that's totally fine. It still can cut a bottle in half easily.
Yep.
I know we've said this with a lot of swords, but like I wish most swords came sharper. If every sword came this sharp,
It'd be perfect.
Yeah,
absolutely.
you don't have to do anything to this edge. So a thing to touch on real quick before we get to the value, which can kind of play into it for you, is so I got this sword, Scott and I, off Kult of Athena for $398 If you order from Landsknecht Emporium directly, this configuration, which is pretty much the base level, you can go. It's a little bit more than that, not by a whole lot though. But that is a cool thing. If you actually go to Landsknecht's website, you can kind of build and spec this however you want. Like you could add pommel caps, you could add different types of wood for the grips. You could even get like antler as for one of the grips.
Yep.
You can get like a thicker training version for the blade, and also scabbard. So we got the non-scabbard version here. But scabbards starts at about $180 and can go up in price from there. You could add all kinds of details and engravings and stuff like that. So I love that. I love that, like, I don't need to pay extra for a scabbard if I don't want it. But if I want to, I like that I could bling that out as much as I want. It's kind of like building a car online and like having fun playing around with options. So it's like, I dig that. And Kult of Athena regularly gets not just this model, but other Landsknecht Emporium
some
models.
with scabbard, some without.
Yeah, which is really, really cool. So just
It
know,
is.
like, there's a lot of customization that can be had with one of these.
Agreed. I agree with everything Victor said. So, one other thing I wanted to point out that I appreciate about it that gives it a little bit more polish, I think, despite the rustic aesthetic that it's going for, is the way that the guard is asymmetrical. So you'll see in the close-up images, there's like it swells a bit and then it gets kind of narrow at the back end, and then whereas the front is just kind of one continuous swell up. So I just like the way it looks and the way it accents the nail. I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
So that's something to note, that again, it just puts it over the top for me in terms of being worth the $398. Because there are messers you can get for cheaper than that. But I think that this one is definitely worth it at that price.
Strongly agree. Yeah. I think for that price point, if you're just looking to get the sword, don't care about the scabbards, as we really don't, then it kind of feels like a steal. Like it is a really functional, really well made, like
Completely agree.
historically accurate example, right, of this type of sword, which is really kind of what Landsknecht Emporium is known for, making very historically accurate versions of these types of swords that.
Yep.
You know, now there's kind of a bit more messers on the market than there were several years ago, but for the longest time, they were really the only place to go if you didn't want to drop, Albion money for a messer, right?
For sure, yeah, yep. And then that was right about when Valor Arms came out with theirs and all that stuff. So,
and now you got Todd Cutler. So now you got options, which is really cool, but I still think, again, especially for the price and if this aesthetic works for you, this is a hell of a deal. So I highly recommend.
Completely agree. One other thing I should have talked about in handling is the facets on the handle feel a little bit sharper than I would like them to. So I feel like if they and what I'll probably do, I wanted to wait until after we reviewed it, is I'll probably just take that edge down of the thing a little bit and just sort of flatten it out a little bit, chamfer it a little bit, and I think that'll make it feel better in my hand because it is just a little bit sharper than I would like it to be, and that combined with the smaller top kind of creates some hot spots on my hand a little bit. So I think once I smooth that out, it'll be a lot better for me.
Right, because there's probably a little bit more movement than if it were thicker. So
yeah, more movement and more pressure because it's a narrower handle, right? Yeah. So
that makes sense. Seems like a simple enough fix, but definitely worth pointing out. Right?
Yeah, definitely. That's just one thing. And for some people that may not be a problem. And if you're wearing a glove, it would probably hold it in place really well, which would be helpful. But I don't usually wear a glove when I cut. So
no, I want to feel the blood of my enemies on my hand. So.
Excellent. We'll cut that out too. That's what you get for getting rid of your conscience.
All right, yeah. So I think it's a recommendation from both of us. That's about all I got, right?
Yeah, that's about all I got too. So thank you very much for watching. If you would please like and subscribe, we would very much appreciate that. Really helps the channel grow. And we've got some exciting stuff coming up, don't we, Vic?
Yeah, we got a comparison between a few different Type 14s. We have different types of swords reviews that are going to be coming after that. So yeah, stay tuned. Got a lot of fun stuff coming down the way. And hey, don't forget to hit the bell for notifications.
Peace.